over the last several years, the complexity of our infrastructure and our applications has spread tremendously. I call it infrastructure sprawl. We all face that, and that drives up our costs, but also makes things more challenging for us to make changes. It makes it more brittle in our environment. So it kind of makes the IT organization a little bit inflexible, a little bit cautious, and the business areas want to drive and move a little quicker. We all face the same security challenges throughout the federal government, and obviously increasing focus there over the last several years. And yet we have to be flexible and we have to be internet-based, but at the same time we have to be secure and adhere to a bunch of rules and regulations there that protect our information and our applications and ultimately our constituents. And then at the same time, because of that, our energy requirements and space requirements at data center have grown substantially to where we're kind of maxed out and we didn't have any options available to us. So we had to take action to address those issues. And then through a combination of things that gradually occurred over time. I think you eloquently rattled it off. I don't think I can, in terms of services oriented, multi-tenancy.
Just say cloud.
Secure environment. We had to do all of those things, and in so doing, the next step for us is adding the cloud capability, and we see, the service level benefits for our clients. The ability to rapidly provision applications and services, and the ability to do that faster means that their projects ultimately are going to have faster cycle times, and that means ROI. Payback periods are going to go from 2 years and 18 months to 12 months, maybe even less. And I think the pay-as-you-go model is appealing for our client base and presents significant challenges for us going forward. But nonetheless, that's I think why the adoption rate and interest is going to be there at some point. I mean, one of the things that, as I said, the evolution over the last several years of the NBC has been to really focus on the security. And so by that I mean, really building a robust defense in-depth security architecture. And so by managing and operating, FISMA compliant federal data centers, we believe that one of the core benefits of being a federal shared service provider is that by operating services in the cloud, that defense in-depth architecture is going to provide the same benefits to our cloud services and applications as it does to our traditionally hosted applications. So that's one there, and that as you know, there's a whole plethora of capabilities there in a robust defense in-depth architecture that our applications will get benefits from. But then secondarily to that, as we looked at the cloud capabilities, we realized that we really needed to do something in addition to that. It wasn't quite enough. So what we're doing right now is we're building what we call security zones. So we've segmented off at the network level and the virtual level up to even logically within our infrastructure up to the server environment. These 3 security zones, and we're in the process of building them now, even though we have one of them already built out. So we've got what, we don't have the marketing spiel down on this yet because we are still federal service providers. We're not really that good at this. But we got the low and the medium and the high security zones. Now the low is essentially our dev test environment. It's really not low security because it is FISMA compliant, but ultimately it's lower than the others. And then we're working on building out right now the medium, which we're really starting to coin in-house kind of production standard. And then there's a high security zone, which we're calling that. The high watermark for us is not the same as maybe for the Intel community or DoD, but that's the PII level. So it's personally identifiable information. So that's what we're doing right now. Oh, governance is the challenge, I think, right now with cloud. It's certainly one of the top 3 that we have our eyes on in trying to manage. And there's several reasons for that. I mean, one ultimately is the multi-tenancy aspect. Now, as a shared service provider, we've kind of dealt with and matured a governance model in the multi-tenancy model. Environment, but most agencies, aren't participating in a shared services model now, and the governance aspect over that ends up ultimately in, well, how do you decide what upgrades go in when? How do you decide what features go in the next release and get prioritized? Do you bring together your 200 clients to make those decisions? And ultimately, from a client standpoint, you end up feeling like or losing some control. Security governance is another aspect, and it's a combination of security from the aspect of you've got a shared environment now. If somebody introduces a security vulnerability in one of their applications that we don't necessarily know something about, what vulnerability might be exploited and how might that expose our other clients. And somewhat, as a corollary to that, the assurance aspect of, if something happens there or somebody makes a mistake in a shared environment and that you've got runaway processes and so on and so forth, if that, brings the performance down, then other clients are affected by what you've done. So.